If it feels like the Chargers are trying to keep two different fires from spreading at the exact same time, you're not imagining it. One decision this week is the definition of smart and careful, but it also creates a spotlight moment that can swing a guy's career in a single night. At the same time, the whole rest up for January plan makes perfect sense until you look at what's happening in the secondary and realize just how thin that room is getting. And right when you think the volume can't possibly go up, here comes the quarterback noise again, with teams sniffing around a guy you simply don't mess with. Quick favor before we jump in, if you ride with the Bolt fam, hit like, make sure you're subscribed, and drop your thoughts as we go, because I'm telling you right now, at least one of these topics is going to split the comments. So let's start with the thing nobody thought would be must-watch. Justin Herbert is getting the week off in the regular season finale, which means Trey Lance is stepping into the spotlight. And it still sounds a little crazy when you say it. Lance was a top 3 pick, taken after one of the most aggressive trade-ups we've seen in years. He entered the league as that raw, high-upside project, and then it got messy fast. He spent his rookie season on the bench, and early in year 2, he suffered a season-ending injury. That injury opened the door for Brock Purdy to take the starting job, and just like that, Lance became expendable even with all that draft capital tied to him. This is why the Week 18 start matters more than people want to admit. Trey Lance has 5 career starts. That's it, 5. He's still only 25, and the league is starving for anything resembling stable quarterback play. No, one game isn't going to make someone hand him the keys as an unquestioned starter. But if he looks calm, protects the ball, and makes enough throws to keep the offense on schedule, you know what happens. He turns into an off-season conversation. He becomes the name teams bring up when they're shopping for a free agent quarterback, especially in a league where the overall quarterbacking level has been, honestly, underwhelming in way too many places. And the stage gets bigger because of who's on the other side. Denver is fighting for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, so they're not showing up to hand out confidence boosts. They're coming to heat you up, speed up your clock, and force the kind of mistake that gets replayed all week. That's what makes this a real test. Can Lance play clean football when the opponent actually needs the win? If he can, there will be teams that look at him this offseason, not as some guaranteed franchise savior, but as a legitimate option. Competition, insurance, a bridge, a plan with upside. And for Chargers fans, that's the tension point. We want Herbert healthy, we want January, but we also get a rare chance to see what Lance really is when the game plan belongs to him. Is he just a name from an old draft night headline? Or is there something there that becomes real value the second the lights hit? Which rolls straight into the bigger rest conversation, because the Chargers are heading into Week 18 with starters sitting against the Broncos. After that, they'll be on the road to face a division winner in the wildcard round, and they need every ounce of rest they can get for key players. Herbert is the obvious one. His hand has been surgically repaired, and the last thing you want is one awkward hit in a game that doesn't move the playoff mission forward. But the list doesn't end with Herbert, because the defensive backroom has been taking body shots every week. Cornerback Benjamin St-Juste and safety R.J. Mickens are dealing with injuries. Dante Jackson has been trying to gut it out through a groin issue. Safety Elijah Molden has been battling injuries all year. That's a lot of day-to-day packed into one position group, and it always looks manageable, right up until it isn't. Then it's a playoff game, and you're asking guys to play 70 snaps on fumes. That's why the Chargers have already been hunting for depth and brought in veteran safety Marcus May last week. And if Dante Jackson or St-Juste has anything that lingers, it's easy to picture the front office looking for outside help to build depth for the playoffs. Which brings up the name that hit the wire and immediately made people start doing the math. Trevon Diggs. Dallas decided to part ways with the former 2-time Pro Bowl corner. Diggs tore his ACL shortly after signing his 5-year extension with the Cowboys that was worth up to $97 million. He came back and played 11 games in 2024, but then missed the final 6 games with another knee injury that required surgery in the offseason. He could be claimed on waivers, but the remaining contract, while it has no guarantees after this season, might still be enough for teams to wait it out and hope they can sign him after he clears. And if Diggs wants to keep playing this season, it would have to be with a playoff team. And the Chargers, with the need at corner because of what the back end has been dealing with, are at least a logical fit on paper. Diggs has played over 87% of his snaps as an outside corner. He needs a fresh start, and the Chargers' defense under Jesse Minter has built a reputation as a destination for guys trying to rebuild their value. You've seen how it can go. A player comes in, gets coached up, plays in a system that highlights what he does well, and suddenly his stock looks different by the time the offseason arrives. They've also shown they can bring in defensive backs and get them ready fast. May was claimed off waivers last season and played snaps that same week, and he even picked off Kirk Cousins. If off-field issues aren't a concern for Diggs, it wouldn't be the first reclamation project this defense has taken on. Tier Tart is another example of a player who had rough stints elsewhere before landing with the Chargers and playing exceptionally well. But while the focus is on corners and safeties, there's another storyline that just won't die. And it involves the one thing you never play cute with, your quarterback. The Chargers have, plainly, failed to give their superstar quarterback the pieces he's needed to contend through the first few years of his career. And because of that, trade rumors have circled around Justin Herbert more than once. Nothing truly substantial has ever taken shape, but after the 2024 NFL Draft, it was reported that two teams, the New England Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings, made calls about Herbert's availability. Those teams ended up selecting Drake May and J.J. McCarthy in that draft, which pretty clearly told you those talks didn't go anywhere. But things have shifted since that night. The Patriots found their franchise quarterback in May. Minnesota keeps floundering, and there's been plenty of speculation that they'll be back on the quarterback market this offseason. If that's where they end up, it's not hard to imagine them circling back to Los Angeles. And suddenly all eyes turn right back to Herbert. After missing his entire rookie season with a torn meniscus in his right knee, McCarthy's first full NFL season has been disappointing. He battled injuries throughout the year, and through his first 9 games, he's at a 57.3% completion rate, 1,450 passing yards, 15 total touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Minnesota is 8-8 heading into Week 17, and will miss the playoffs after coming in with some lofty expectations. McCarthy's career isn't over, but he's shown enough inconsistency that you can understand why the Vikings might test the market. Herbert, meanwhile, has proved himself again as one of the league's elite quarterbacks. Even with abysmal pass protection, he's led the Chargers to an 11-5 record through 16 games. He has 3,627 passing yards and 28 total touchdowns, and he earned his second Pro Bowl nod in the process. If he were ever traded, he'd command a massive package that would let a team retool well into the future. For the Chargers, though, this shouldn't even be on the table. Even if they're a first-round exit, there's a real identity forming under Jim Harbaugh. They have defensive pieces, they have offensive playmakers, and they have the financial capital this offseason to fill the gaps, specifically on the interior offensive line. Trading a generational quarterback in his prime would be a huge mistake. That won't stop a desperate team from calling if they decide they're hunting a quarterback, but it should stop the Chargers from ever entertaining it. And speaking of that interior line, let's get into the numbers that make you pause and just exhale for a second. The Chargers' offensive line has been a point of contention all season. Injuries, poor play, free agency dollars, all of it. Protecting Justin Herbert is the most important job anyone on this team has, because Herbert can take the bolts as far as any quarterback in the league, as long as he stays healthy and gets help. Going into the 2026 playoffs, that help looks near the bottom of the league by multiple stats you can't just shrug off. ESPN pass block win rate, 32nd, dead last. And the weekly pressure Herbert sees backs it up. His supporting cast has given up 250 pressures, the most in the entire league. ESPN run block win rate, 31st. And that's supposed to be the foundation of the Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman offense. Physical, downhill, move people. It hasn't really shown up consistently, with year 2 of the regime taking a step back in blocking. The running back room has dealt with attrition, sure, but even then, the blocks being received are ranked 2nd worst in the league. Then you look at PFF and it's the same story. PFF pass blocking efficiency, 30th, measuring pressure allowed per snap with weighting toward sacks. PFF run blocking grade, 32nd, dead last again. And one detail that hits hard, Mekhi Becton is the lowest on the team in run blocking grade at 34.3, and he's the guy who was brought in with that mall people reputation. Finally, PFF pass blocking grade, 31st, 2nd last. And somehow there's still one team graded worse overall in pass blocking, the Cleveland Browns. So this is where I'm landing. And I want you to be honest in the comments. If you're trying to build a playoff run, what do you fix first? Do you chase more depth in the secondary because injuries can wreck a night? Or do you go all in on the interior offensive line because this team's ceiling is tied to Herbert staying upright? And if Trey Lance shows something in Week 18, do you want the Chargers to keep that insurance policy? Or do you let him walk and bet that Herbert's health is the only story that matters?